From IQDCalls.com chat room. Article on Iraqi-Russian economic relations, and opinions from Whitelions, Schooner, Meatball, and Zig, the chat room mod master. From Whitelions, keywords of Najaf called the electronic ration card. February 4, 2017, Secretary General of the Council of Ministers announced, Chairman of the Supreme Committee for the Reform of the Ration Card System Mahdi, keywords from the province of Najaf for the launch of the experimental environment for the reform of the ration card system, using the smart card in the framework of the National Strategy for Poverty Alleviation in Iraq, and said during a ceremony held at the guest house. Province of Najaf, attended their portfolios, and representatives of the Ministries of Planning, Commerce, Communications, and Deputy Governors of Baghdad and Babylon. According to a statement to the Secretariat of the Council of Ministers today, the application of the system comes to provide a guarantor environment for the convenience of the citizen to receive the ration card items and contributes to sectoral efforts of the relevant authorities in the delivery of vocabulary to citizens. Promised demo launch, the first of its kind initiative in Iraq, taking into account modern methods and techniques in the transition to electronic experiences of countries in the world in this regard. The card, noting that the Supreme Committee for the Reform of the Ration Card System made in terms of freedom in the province of Najaf to launch the system by selecting an experimental environment 22-agent ration card for a period of 3 months, during which he will assess and analyze the pros and cons that Sefersha application system, to raise to the Council of Ministers to obtain approval in order to circulate it to all provinces. He explained, the system came on research and study with experts from the World Bank on the reality of Iraq in light of the government's efforts to provide everything you need Iraqi families and their dependence on the ration card in a large proportion of their daily lives as a result. The statement noted that the new system allows the citizen great flexibility in the choice of vocabulary that wish to purchase places at of them, and that Iraq needs to make a scientific and practical ground to eradicate poverty within the government are working on a strategy. Article. Qualitative shift, in the Iraqi-Russian economic relations. Baghdad/Farah al-Kafaf. An economist for Al-Sabah expected that in the coming years there will be a doubling of trade exchange between Iraq and Russia, likely to achieve a qualitative leap in cooperation between the two countries. He said economic expert Rahim al-Shamari, Iraqi-Russian cooperation is important, for the two countries enjoy the resources of the first is the best in region. He pointed out that the two countries have potential if invested correctly, and real cooperation will benefit the two peoples, indicating that the benefits will be greater for Iraq, especially as it is about to move to a market economy or free economy. Al-Shamari said that the next 3 years will see a qualitative shift in the trade exchange between Baghdad and Moscow, as well as the possibility of opening new markets for manufactured goods. Of the importance of competition. Iraq and Russia, for the existence of the same natural resources as oil, gas, and others, but the expert expected that these resources will be a common starting point between them. On Thursday, Moscow saw the establishment of a working council to consolidate economic relations between Arab countries, including Iraq and the Russian Federation, on the sidelines of the International Conference of Russian and Arab Industrialists and Businessmen. During the conference, the Iraqi consul to Russia, Sadiq Ali Kazem, stressed that Iraq always welcomes Russian companies on its territory, and that the step of establishing a joint council to support the implementation of economic plans between the two countries is the first step in the journey of 1,000 miles between Moscow and Baghdad, calling on Russian companies to the volume of trade exchange, the development of industry, and reconstruction in Iraq. Under the guidance of Russian President Vladimir Putin, we have taken it upon ourselves to strengthen economic relations between our countries and the Arab countries. We can say that we succeeded in this. Today we established a support council to strengthen relations with the Arab countries, said Andrei Tonayev, head of the International Coordinating Council for Russian Industrialists and Entrepreneurs. Iraq, Syria, and Egypt. In the area of trade and reconstruction, and banking transactions. On the activity of the company, Gazprom Russian Energy on Iraqi territory, said the director of the company Stroy Gazprom, Iraqi Sinan Zaki. The company opened its first branch in Baghdad to follow up the implementation of joint projects in the country and exploration for oil and gas. He also said the amount of Haider Abbas al-Rubai, representative of the Iraqi Central Trade, Iraq appreciates the entry of Russian products to the Iraqi market, especially after the start of imports of wheat and sunflower oil. As for the obstacles to joint investments, said Hakim Shaker Sadi, deputy director of Stroy Gazprom, the most prominent of these obstacles relate to bank exchanges and not the existence of mutual banks between the two countries. From Whitelions, I think that opinion piece is more a hope on Russia's part that Abadi, because he is taking the country away, the Malikis of the world, and he knows Putin is a Maliki in Russian clothing. From Schooner, wow! As usual, Iraq is not living up to claims or expectations thus far. I am going by claims from Iraq, not BS-filled gurus. First quarter and no progress on the dinar. Mosul is purposely being held back and should have been done a long time ago. Lots of news about certain rules, laws, and procedures getting accomplished on the international and national levels, but it means nothing. Constantly, daily, people are making correlations between whatever is happening and a new rate. Well, I am worn down and sick of it. I will never sell my dinar, just in case, but I suggest we all just quit looking into it. Let it go. Get on with our lives. Maybe once a month or two check up on latest info. And see if the new rate happened. You need a couple of weeks to pass after it changes anyway, so it's not like you'll lose if you don't hear the day of. Goodbye dinar reports, news, and false correlations, I won't miss you. From Whitelions, some of those things may be true, and I don't want to debate it. Taking a step back is a good thing, I have done it and am in a better place for it. But if you stop coming at it from me, I'm going to be rich and look at it as living history being made, and the knowledge that Iraq is working to bring the value of its money up to international trading power. It doesn't matter how long it takes. For those that need it now, you should have invested in something else. Even if you were lied to, you can sell it back and walk away, but if you're smart you will wait with the rest of us. CNN, White House senior advisor Jared Kushner traveled to Iraq this weekend and is expected back in the United States early this week, a senior administration official told CNN. Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law, was invited by the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joseph Dunford, and is traveling with him, sources told CNN. A senior administration official declined to say Sunday evening what was on Kushner's itinerary in Iraq, his first visit to the country since assuming a broad portfolio of foreign affairs in the Trump presidency. The New York Times first reported Kushner's trip. Kushner is expected to have a major role in the meetings later this week between Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. From Meatball, the best thing you can do in all of this is have a good perspective about all of this. Looking and expecting it every day will only lead to disappointment. Live life and let it play out however it happens. From Zig, great advice in the posts above. However, I think that most people who get into this investment have to learn the hard way. Remember how we all were when we first got into this? LOL. I was expecting the RV every week. Eventually, we learn, but it takes a lot of time for many people to stop listening to all the BS gurus out there. I would love to hear from some new investors. Those of you who have recently become involved, you can become overwhelmed by all the hype out there in the beginning. I know that from experience, it is very exciting to hear that you will be filthy rich tomorrow, but hopefully you will read some of the advice presented in this chat and at least consider it. remember that the advice is being given by people who have been in this investment for years. From Meatball,